We're here with Kathleen Hessert, and you actually train athletes on how to build their own brands and how to use social media, and you have some pretty well-known clients. You mentioned Shaq and Danica Patrick. What is the biggest hurdle that you have to cross with them when you're starting up a relationship with them?
Trust, without a doubt. It's like, do they trust me enough? How can I build a relationship of trust so that they can share with me their fears, their everything? It's the same with a journalist. Do you trust the journalist to portray you in the best possible light, or are they going to be, sticking a knife in your back? And so it's basically, how do I build a relationship with them first so that they'll trust that that they can try something new that I put in front of them to help the brand.
How many of your clients actually needed convincing that social media were something they needed to take part of, and can you name names?
2 weeks before we started with Danica Patrick, she publicly told Darren Ravel she doesn't get that Twitter thing. But when one of her sponsors, and she's very sponsor friendly, one of her sponsors said, "We'd like you to be on Twitter, it's important to us, and we're going to invest in you and our relationship by hiring Kathleen to teach you how to do it." She's like, all for it. And when she does anything, she goes for it 100%. And she did.
And Shaq pretty much turned his Twitter feed into another job. I mean, he was already a well-known personality, but his brand really did skyrocket after, his Twitter appearances and Twitter giveaways. And
Shaq is unique. There's no doubt about it. And he glommed onto it. Shaq can be credited with taking Twitter mainstream, in my estimation, and Twitter would have said that too, because now not just us geeks but the rest of the world could find a connection to him and cool, interesting things coming from him via Twitter, and so more and more people got on. And one of the interesting thing is, one of the first evaluations we did of his following was to show his manager and him that most of the people following him weren't even basketball fans. In fact, some had turned away from the NBA and came back because of him, to watch him. But through Twitter, they were there because of his humor, because of his humanness, because of his openness, and that really opened a lot of doors. Because I remember, I think he got 23,000 followers in the first month, which was monumental. Now he's pushing 6 million. It's big.
We see athletes like Kevin Durant and Nolan Smith who send out links to random Ustreams, or say, hey, come play Words with Friends with me. What's the next thing you would like to see athletes do in the social realm?
Be better at what they're doing and do more of it. A lot of people just in general think that easy access equates to excellence, and it doesn't. It's just like saying that you play basketball in your driveway, and it's the same as a Shaquille O'Neal or a Steve Nash or a Tim Duncan playing in the NBA. There are different levels of expertise, and there are definite skills involved and nuances that can make you great or make you middle of the road. Or horrible.
A panel I was in yesterday mentioned golf and NASCAR as the next big things for social media. You have Danica. Do you agree?
I fully agree. NASCAR has embraced it now, and the drivers are as well. And in golf, the Back Nine Network, is creating a social media culture and covering golf, and more players. I mean, for the most part, people have looked in the past to players on the PGA Tour as vanilla, all wearing khaki pants and the same shirt and looking alike and so on. And social media gives them an opportunity to break out of the pack. And traditional media generally follows the guys that are in the top 10, the last part of the weekend. Now you can connect with people early in the week, and even if you're not in the top 10, through social media, and sometimes that's a very interesting perspective, and you can actually build a fan base which would make you more valuable to any sponsor and beyond through that. And sometimes they're just philanthropy that they're very interested in. I'm going to be in Las Vegas at the end of this month for the Sports Philanthropy council and conference, and I'm going to be talking about social media and sports philanthropy, and how an athlete or a coach can literally perpetuate something that they care about immensely and give back through social media.
And it's hard to talk about athletes on social media without mentioning the occasional disasters, crisis control. Have you ever had to deal with any of those? And what do you
And
what
I
do you
told
tell
a
your
coach
clients?
last week, I said, bottom line, if somebody tweets out a violation, tweets out that there's a recruit coming this weekend and puts their name in the tweet, in the NCAA, that's a secondary violation. So there was an article that said, Twitter is a major headache for the NCAA. Twitter's not the problem. It's not understanding the rules or disobeying the rules that creates the problem. So, it's, especially at the collegiate level and the high school level, they're in educational environments and they need to be educated. That's what it's all about. If they're in the pros, then it's a matter of it's up to them and their sponsors and or their teams or the leagues to help get them the expertise that they need for best practices. I mean, it was years ago when Shaq was at Miami that his team brought me in to do media training, traditional media training. After that, they said he wants to speak more. He needs to learn how to be a public speaker. And they were the conduit to bring the expertise to Shaq, and then he took it from there. Any athlete can do that. They can get the expertise themselves, or they can wait and have the team or the league help them with that expertise.
And finally, we're here in Austin. You have strong ties to UT. What's your relationship with Texas?
I love the Longhorns. And I can never do this just right, though. Mac Brown has been a client and a friend since he was at North Carolina, and I was on the sidelines the first time he beat a top 10 team. This is a man who wants to do it right and is committed to making that happen. I have worked on and off with Texas Longhorns for years now, ever since he became the coach here, and they're a first-class operation in every way, shape, and form, and it's a pleasure when I do work with them.